Hello friends and neighbors. I've been asked by some colleagues to provide you with a little COVID-19 lockdown entertainment this afternoon. I'm Dr. Casey Olson. I'm with the Department of Animal Sciences and Industry at Kansas State University. On behalf of the university, I manage the KSU Commercial Cow-Calf Unit that is composed of about 400 mama cows. But I'm also a rancher. Around Christmas time in 1990, I later returned to Kansas as a graduate student. I earned my PhD in Animal Sciences and Industry and in grazing livestock subjects. And a few years down the road, in 2006, there came an opportunity for me to become a permanent Kansas resident, a faculty member at Kansas State University. And, speaking on behalf of myself and my family, that was really a dream come true. We had the opportunity to come back to Kansas, to invest in the ranching industry here in the state, and to become, not just researchers and teachers on its behalf, but to become participants in what I think is the greatest forage-based livestock industry on the planet. Okay, that's my background, folks. What I'd like to talk to you about today are what I believe to be some existential threats to the tall grass prairie region. First of all, I want to describe to you in detail why it's such an important ecological resource for planet Earth, for all Kansans, and then describe to you some of the threats, Sericea lespedeza in particular, that it faces. And I'd like to take you through a process that we have recently completed that I believe will allow the ranching community in all Kansans to retain the tall grass prairie free from invasive plants, and also to better manage those lands for maybe non-livestock uses. So here we go. So originally, the tall grass prairie encompassed about a 165 million acre footprint. This is prior to European settlement in the 19th century. The Rorschach blot that you see on your screen is the estimated original extent, but today only 6.2 million acres, or about 4% of the original area, remains. Now this is, well, you might ask, where did it go? Most of it was converted to tillage agriculture because it happened to coexist on extremely rich and fertile soils. But that has not happened everywhere. Okay, what you see now on the right of the screen is an outline of the largest extant remnant of tall grass prairie in North America, and really in the world. There's about 4.5 million acres of grassland in that footprint. Now this remnant, according to my colleagues at the Kansas Prairie Research Station, is home to 500 plant species or more, 700 insect species or more, 185 birds, and 40 mammals, including people, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. But the significance of those kinds of numbers, rather, is that on small spatial scales, the tall grass prairie is more ecologically diverse than even rainforest ecosystems. And as a repository of diversity, it has value for everyone, for all human beings. Another area where the tall grass prairie provides value to all mankind, all humankind, is that it is, bar none, the most effective carbon sink on planet Earth, way more so than even a forest ecosystem. And prairie sod is, bar none, the best water filter on planet Earth. These are things that everybody benefits from, and frankly, the people that provide these benefits, the private ranchers of the Flint Hills of Kansas and the Osage Hills of Oklahoma, are not in a position to capture a reward for their services in maintaining biodiversity, sequestering carbon, and purifying water. Now, all of these benefits, okay, are predicated on a fire return interval of between 2 and 4 years. The tallgrass prairie, prior to European settlement, was fire adapted. At something less than 3-year interval over a long period of time, fire would sweep through the region. And, I guess many assume that those were wildfires exclusively, and they were set by natural forces rather like lightning. Okay, but there's very strong evidence that Aboriginal Americans used fire in a prescriptive way. Okay, and not just to lure game animals into their favored hunting grounds. Okay, they were much more creative. They used fire to condition stone and timber for tool making. They used fire to cause the proliferation of certain food plants. And what's more, okay, they used prescribed fire for different prescriptive purposes all through the year. Okay, it wasn't confined to just a single season. So let's ask some questions. What's so special about the Flint Hills? Why weren't they, like all other tallgrass prairie areas, converted to tillage agriculture? Well, the soil structure here is ill-suited to tillage. A person with a shovel has only to dig a few inches before you encounter a loosely aggregated layer of chert that would be very tough on a plow or some other tillage equipment, and only has to go down about 36 inches before bedrock is encountered. The other reason, okay, that we still have this large tallgrass prairie remnant in Kansas and Oklahoma is that high frequency, I misspoke. Fire occurred here with high frequency prior to and since European settlement. We have the tallgrass prairie because fire has always been a part of it. So why do we burn prescriptively? Okay, I think that in most cases you would get very straightforward answers from the ranching community in Kansas. First and foremost, it provides very inexpensive and comprehensive brush control. One of the downfalls, okay, of the Flint Hills, in that it's so good at growing things. Okay, unwanted plants or invasive plants also like to grow here, and unchecked, they can quickly get out of control. For example, I've personally seen areas in the Flint Hills where fire has been excluded for some reason for periods of 25 years or more. Okay, over that period of time, the tallgrass prairie effectively becomes a scrub forest with little or no economic value. Now, another reason why we burn, okay, we know that we have a long history here of grazing transient yearling cattle. It's been going on since just after the Civil War and continues to this day. Early pioneers, early keepers of domestic livestock in the Flint Hills noticed that when animals were grazed on an area that was recently burned, that their performance was measurably better. And that performance increase for very little investment has a great deal of economic value for the ranching community in Kansas. I'll show you some figures shortly. Okay, back to the tallgrass prairie remnant we live in and among. This is maybe some of the rationale why it's so attractive to ranchers as grazing land. Our Flint Hills are dominated by warm season, so-called C4 native grasses. With little or no agronomic input, every acre or every hectare is capable of producing, I'll put this in imperial terms, about 4,000 kilograms of dry forage. That's just subtracting the water. 4,000 pounds of dry forage per acre without agronomic input. Well, gosh, how is that possible? But I thank you for hanging with me. Again, my name is Casey Olson. I'm with Animal Sciences and Industry at Kansas State University. I'm easy to find on the World Wide Web. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, I would really appreciate hearing from you. God bless. Stay safe out there during this very strange, unprecedented time in American history. My thoughts are with you.